We are waiting for Thanksgiving this week, one of the major holidays in the States. Do you have any special plans for Thanksgiving or during the Thanksgiving break? I believe some of you may travel to your children's houses, but most of you will stay at home and meet your family, relatives, and or friends and have a joyful, meaningful time with delicious food. I hope you have a great time with your loved ones and will pray for your and their safe trip and safe drive. We might have been asked the same question on Thanksgiving. What are you the most thankful to God for this year? Lifeway Research asked, what are you thankful for? More than 4 in 5 Americans, which means 84%, answered that they are thankful for their family. And they answered that they are thankful for health, 69%, for friends, 63%, for memories, 63%, for personal freedom, 53%, for stability, 47%, for opportunities, 42%, for achievements, 33%, and for wealth, 21%. Passing through the pandemic, we Americans put more value on family, health, friends, personal freedom, stability, and things like that. So let me ask you, what are you the most thankful to God this year? Your family, your health, friends, freedom, stability, or wealth? We have many different conditions that are mostly positive factors to give thanks to God. However, in today's passage, the prophet Habakkuk thanked God under completely different circumstances than ours. In order to understand today's passage, we need to know more about the history of Israel and the context of the book of Habakkuk. So let me briefly explain them. As you know, God chose the people of Israel and ruled over Israel. However, the Israelites wanted their own king. So God chose Saul as the first king of Israel. After King Saul, David became the second king of Israel, and Solomon ascended the throne after David. Unfortunately, the United Nation of Israel only continued during the 3 kings. After King Solomon died, Israel was divided into 2 kingdoms in 926 BC, the kingdom of Israel in the north and the kingdom of Judah in the south. And then the kingdom of Israel continued for 205 years and finally fell to Assyria in 722-21 BC. On the other hand, the kingdom of Judah continued for 329 years and finally fell to Babylon in 597 BC. As a prophet who delivered God's message to God's people, let them realize their wrongdoings and made them return to God. Habakkuk was actively working in the kingdom of Judah from 612 BC. He witnessed the transition from a faithful king and how God protected the king and the kingdom of Judah to an unfaithful king and how God became outraged against the king and the people. In Habakkuk chapter 1, verses 3 and 4, Habakkuk says, "Why do you make me see wrongdoing and look at trouble? Destruction and violence are before me. Strife and contention arise. So the law became slack and justice never prevails. The wicked surround the righteous. Therefore judgments come forth perverted." Their unfaithfulness tested God's patience. Finally, God decided, "For I am rousing the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, that fierce and impetuous nation who march through the breadth of the earth to seize dwellings not their own. Dread and fearsome are they. Their justice and dignity proceed from themselves." And God showed Habakkuk what would happen in 15 years, how horrible, how violent, and how miserable it would be. However, God did not totally abandon his people. God gave a promise to Habakkuk and his people, saying, "For there's still a vision for the appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. It seems to tarry. Wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay." And God added, "Look at the proud. Their spirit is not right in them, but the righteous live by their faith." What do you think of the meaning by "the righteous live by their faith"? When the destruction of the kingdom is around the corner. That is, even though the kingdom of Judah fell to Babylon, and almost all Judeans became captives of Babylon for about 130 years, they had to endure the period with faith and hope that there would be an end and they would return home. Living by faith is to have such faith and hope in a place where there is no hope. So how can we live by faith, waiting for and enjoying this Thanksgiving season? God must have shown Habakkuk the visions of the Babylonians' invasion, the destruction of Jerusalem, and massacre of the Judean people. And Habakkuk might have heard the painful cry of the Judean people. So the following verse was his natural responses after he saw and heard about what would happen in 15 years. He said, "I tremble within, my lips quiver at the sound. Rottenness enters into my bones, my steps tremble beneath me. I wait quietly for the day of calamity to come upon the people who attack us." But that was not all. Habakkuk said, "Though the fig tree does not blossom and no fruit is on the vines, though the produce of the olive fails and the fields yield no food, though the flock is cut off from the fold and there is no herd in the stalls. The fig tree, grape, olive oil, food, sheep, and cattle were the essential necessities for living in the land of Judah. But Habakkuk saw that they would have nothing in the Judean land. Dry and barren soil means death. Habakkuk saw two visions. One was that he and his people would face terrible destruction, great suffering, and horrible exilic life. Many of his beloved people would die, be injured, and be captured and dragged as Babylonian captives. The other was that they would lose everything that they had taken for granted and would be empty-handed. Habakkuk must have felt extreme fear and agony. Nevertheless, he did not collapse. He did not complain or blame God. Rather, he trusted God's promise. He said, "Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exult in the God of my salvation." Rather than being captured or overwhelmed by present trouble, suffering, and difficulties, he decided to rejoice in the Lord because he trusted in God's promise, salvation, of future hope. We have many reasons to give thanks to God. Thanks for our family, health, friends, personal freedom, stability, and or even our wealth. However, these things can change. If we lose one of our beloved family members, if our health becomes deteriorated, if our best friend turns his or her back on us, if our freedom is restricted, if everything around us becomes unstable, and if our financial status becomes damaged, we lose our reasons to give thanks to God. And then we come to have our faith tested. Some may say, God abandons me, or there is no God. However, we have an unchangeable reason to give thanks to God. That is, God Himself decided to die for us. It was His expression of love for us. Through this love, we are justified and become children of God. And as His children, we come to live by faith, seeing gladness amidst sorrow, embracing hope amidst despair, sharing love amidst hatred, and proclaiming peace amidst violence. With one and only reason, Jesus Christ, we can give thanks to God. And with this absolute, unchangeable reason, we come to give thanks to God in any circumstance, either when we are in need or in plenty, in sickness or in good health, being with loved ones or being alone. I hope you have happy Thanksgiving with your loved ones and give thanks to God for what God has poured out upon you and your family. But I want to invite you to think about the unchangeable reason and give thanks to God for sending Jesus Christ to us, saving us, and reconciling with us this season of Thanksgiving. Amen.